Today, Stryd, the company that makes this amazing little footpod, is announcing some major changes to its pricing and to its subscription plan. But first, let's go for a run and test out some of the new features. 14.23 miles, 8 minutes, 24 seconds per mile, 152 beats per minute on average for this run, which was a long run with 30 minutes of progression running in kind of the middle of it. A great time to test out some of the new features that Stryd is announcing today, April 6, 2021. Now, before I talk to you guys about all the new stuff, I do want to go over some disclosures. While I did get early access to some of these new features for the purpose of testing, Stryd isn't paying me to make this video or to use this product. And this Stryd footpod that I have, I bought this one myself years ago, and they're not going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about what's going on new with the Stryd footpod. First, let's talk about the subscription model. I think it was late last year, like towards the end of the summer last year, they announced that they were gonna have a Stryd subscription. It was free to everyone who already had a Stryd footpod or to anyone who bought a Stryd footpod. Then they were saying that we're testing out features, figuring out prices, and we'll make that change sometime in 2021. Well, that time is starting soon. Starting May 6th, you're gonna have to start paying $10 per month if you wanna be able to use the subscription features of Stryd. You'll still be able to get a lot of the data that you have out of it, but some of like the extra features, that new stuff that you got starting late last year with the subscription stuff, that's gonna go back behind a paywall at $10 a month. There are also a change to the pricing that they're announcing. Now their price is gonna be $150, but to get that $150 discounted price, you do have to sign up for at least a 6-month commitment of paying that $10 per month. So it used to be $220, I think, for a Stryd footpod. And then if you do the math, $150 plus 6 months of the subscription actually ends up being $210. So you're coming out a little bit ahead, but then you are signed up for subscription. I know a lot of people are getting subscription fatigue, but I think at least you're getting a little bit of a discount compared to just buying the Stryd footpod outright, which you can still do, but it's still gonna be at that same price of $220. So what's new in the subscription? First, all the stuff that's gonna be in the subscription is the stuff that's been in there already. So you can use the Stryd subscription plan to make a power-based training workout to help you getting ready for a race. This is something that I tried. I think I did an abbreviated 10K buildup, 10K race buildup using the Stryd power plans. And so what it does is it takes your data from the footpod that you wear on your foot for all of your runs, and it customizes a plan for you depending on the race and the kind of mileage that you've been doing, and puts it together and just pre-populates a calendar, and you just run the workout, whichever workout that pops up. The watches that it's going to be available on is still Apple Watch and Garmin watches, as long as you have like the Garmin Connect something, or other you have to download a specific app that you can download to your Garmin watch, and you can run the watch that way. It's the same devices that were available during kind of the subscription kind of free period. Now they're creating these training plans, these power-based training plans that can populate within your app and onto your Apple Watch or into your Garmin, and you can run all these workouts from there. But they don't want to exclude coaches by any means. So that integration that they've had from the beginning in terms of being able to work with your coach, or especially for triathletes who are maybe working on more complex types of workout training schedules, and you're using stuff like Training Peaks, 2Peak, or Final Surge. Now let's talk about some of the new features that I think are pretty cool, and probably my favorite part now of the new subscription plan is the workout. Now I mentioned that Stryd could already, as part of the subscription plan up till now, create these power-based workouts for you, an entire, like populate entire training plan. But now you can do that and tweak it even more, and you can even build your own workout. So there's kind of like two new things. There's a workout library and there's a workout builder. In the app, there's like a whole new section where the workout library is a bunch of little mini collections of workouts that Stryd has kind of auto-populated for you. So instead of it being just like you have to tell it what distance you're training for and what your mileage is, and it tells you the workouts, now you can just go and look at the entire menu of workouts that you have available to you and look at it by different kind of sections. You can go by distance, by amount of time you want to work. If you want to look at like, I want to run a fartlek, but I'm tired of doing like the same fartlek that I always do. Are there ways that I can mix it up? They have a different kind of like suggestions and options for you, along with descriptions for each of these workouts, which I think is really helpful. So that way you can be like, why would I pick some of these? I'm not sure why I would use one workout over the other. There's some descriptions that kind of help you decide. And so once you do, you can pick that workout and you can send it to your calendar or you could set it to your watch. And then when you do, it automatically figures out for you the intensities that you should be running it. It knows your data, it knows what your critical power number is. And basically from there, it can determine if you're doing this type of workout, these are the different intensities that you should be working at or the power ranges that you should be trying to target when you're working in these sessions, which I think is awesome and very, very cool. And if you want to tinker and tweak with it, for example, I usually like to add a lot more mileage to a lot of my workouts. I like to have a really long warm up and a really long cool down. So then you can also do that by going into the workout builder. I chose the workout that was 30 minutes of progression and it had like 10 minutes of warm up and 10 minutes of cool down. But I wanted to wrap this into my long run for the day, make the long run a little bit more interesting. So I selected the 30-minute progression. I'm looking at my phone just because as my notes. So I did my 30 minutes of progression. Then I used that workout as a template. So that way I could then edit it. So now you have the ability to edit any phase of it. And the main phase that I wanted to edit was the warm up. Instead of it being 10 minutes long, I was able to set that from being governed by duration and then set that to distance. And I made it a 7-mile long warm up, which is, long for a warm up, but I just wanted 7 miles of easy at the beginning of my run. I was able to do that really easily. And then I was able to look at the 3 phases of the progression. So it was basically every 10 minutes, it was gonna like kind of squeeze down an intensity going from marathon power to about half marathon power. I figured I'd leave that part alone and just let that part run. And then for the cool down, 10 minutes, I knew I'd be ending up running a little bit longer than 10 minutes of a cool down, but I didn't know exactly how much. But I just left it the way it is because when you run the workout, if you finish the workout, it still keeps recording, the extra stuff that you run at the end. So it's not like you have to get that perfect. So I knew I wanted at least 10 minutes of cool down. So I left it that way. And then I hit the button so I could save this workout and then I could save it to my own collection. Then you could see it right there in the collection on my phone. And then if I click on that, then I can add this, I can look at it, make sure it's right. I can add this workout to my calendar. So that way when I go to my watch, I hit the fetch workouts button and then it'll be right there. Now it worked out pretty well for me when I did that for this 14-mile long run. And then the other half of it is then being able to go back and look at the data later on because it was a structured workout that was programmed through the Stryd app. Then it also lets you look at those individual zones, those work phases at a quick glance from your phone so that you could see, did I hit the power numbers that I was intending to hit for this workout? And you can get a deep dive into that. And I paired the watch today with a heart rate monitor so I could see my power number, my heart rate, getting pace and distance from that footpod, but there's still a GPS tracing as well because I was using the Apple Watch, and I'm able to get other data like cadence, leg spring, stiffness, all sorts of other numbers that the Stryd footpod can give me. I also use this workout builder to do the 10K time trial. Now I didn't use it to kind of like help me run the race, but there's a 10K time trial like workout that's pre-built. So I was able to see, am I in the correct zone or not when I'm running the different areas of that 10K time trial. So that was useful and helpful for me to test out as well. So I was able to use it in a couple of different workout type scenarios. Now, the downside to that is I normally run with a Polar watch, and Polar isn't kind of like fully supported, at least into the workout integration yet. Hopefully that's something that's coming soon. But these days, Polar does let you run workouts, at least for the Vantage V2, run workouts with zones governed by power. So you can kind of do the same workaround. You just unfortunately have to like recreate all those structured workouts as phase workouts in Polar. So it's an extra step for me, but it is something that still can be used together with the Polar watch. But for the main purposes of testing today, I was using the Apple Watch for all my testing of these new workouts and new features. And I think probably my favorite part of the new workout collections is there's a historical workout section. So I've been hearing a lot of like kind of buzz around Twitter and on YouTube about all these different like workouts that people are doing. Now you guys might be familiar with stuff like Yasso 800s, but there's lots of other famous workouts that are out there. And there's an entire section in the new Stryd subscription plan that talks about like a Monoghetti fartlek. So you can run one of those too if you've been hearing people talk about that and you don't know what that is. It's a pretty complicated workout. And I think complicated enough that I'd be like, I'm not going to work that. I'm not going to put all those phases into a watch. It has one already for you and you could just pre-populate it and you could tweak it too if you do want to change it. If you want to change any of the intensities and any durations, depending on your level of fitness or what your goals are, you can do that as well. There's also one for the Michigan, which is one that I've been hearing a lot about for some reason lately. It's just coincidence, I think, but that's another one that I think could be pretty interesting to run. So if you're looking for different workouts to just try out, there is a whole section of like famous workouts or well-known workouts that lots of runner nerds will be familiar with. If you're telling them, oh, I ran a Mona the other day, they'll know what you're talking about. I don't really know what that means yet. Hopefully I'll be able to try one of those out soon. Now, it's not all great news in terms of the new stuff coming to the subscription plan. Kind of like we've seen with some other running brands, they're taking stuff that used to be free and putting it behind the paywall now. So there's a couple of things that I think one thing is really key that I'm a little bit disappointed is going to go back behind the paywall, and that's the race power calculator. So one of the things that I thought was Stryd's killer feature was that it gets to learn about you and what your running level of fitness is because you wear this thing, you clip it on your shoe every single run that you go on. And then from that data that it's collected, it can tell you for whichever race you want to run, what are the power numbers that you should be running? So not only can you tell it for a marathon, you know, what's the power number for even power, not necessarily even pace, because pace might undulate depending on elevation changes, but what power level should you be shooting for to optimize your race? That feature is going to start going behind the paywall, I think starting May 6th. The good news is if you already have a Stryd footpod, so if you currently already have one, that's something that for the rest of the life of your footpod, you'll be able to continue doing. But for people that are getting it now new under the new subscription model, that's something, if I'm understanding it correctly, you're going to have to now make sure you're continuing paying for in order to be able to get. Let me know what you guys think about the new Stryd subscription features. I'd love to hear about it, or better yet, feel free to stop by the live stream that I do just about every day on YouTube. You can always ask me anything you like there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?